All right, Motown Rundown. I wish we were here under better circumstances. Today is Tuesday, February 6th. It's been a long week and a half over here for us. Obviously, we're in different locations, but as Detroit Lions fans, this is a very rare moment. And I think that you would, if you knew anything about us on a personal level and how we operate as a three-man, Three Musketeers operation, there's usually some type of banter in the group chat after every Lions game, no matter what. And I have not spoken to either of you guys in
In
roughly
a
two
week.
weeks. At least in terms of football and sports, there's been some personal conversation back and forth here and there, which is always nice. But this is a raw, uncut, unglued version of the Motown Rundown in which we addressed. It's not an elephant in the room, but just in terms of this podcast, because we have not talked about it yet. We will recap the NFC Championship game. We will also throw some stuff in here at the end of the episode. We'll talk about the Wings. We'll talk about the passing of Pistons legend Earl Cureton and the Tigers signing of Colt Keith to end the show. But obviously, the focus of today is the NFC Championship game, which it sounds like, and definitely by the sound of my voice too, and the intrusive thoughts in my brain, that there's still a sense of denial. But we'll cover all of it. So it's nice to see you guys. I hope everyone's doing well, and we'll uncover all of it. But what's up?
I feel like this is probably the most depressing episode we've ever done. And look, I
Yeah, for
apologize
sure.
in advance. But I think I don't want to say we've earned this, but look, we've been covering this team since 2018 on this show. We've been talking about them every single week. Yeah, we took last week off. What are you going to do about it? You going to get angry at
To be
us?
fair, I wasn't doing it last week. If you asked me to do it last week, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
there's a
also
reason. I mean, none of us
I
even
still haven't
brought it
talked
up.
about it. I literally yelled at my roommates last night for talking about the Super Bowl, and I was way out of line.
yeah.
Wait,
No one even.
they were having a normal conversation, and I was like, guys, shut up.
I don't think there was even a text sent until like this weekend of like, hey, we should probably throw one up. What was I gonna say too? I'm losing my
Are you
train
guys
of
gonna
thought.
watch this weekend?
I don't think so.
No shot, right? I'm
Yeah, I
not.
don't think
I
so.
can't.
I'll
Um,
probably be like, I have friends that are doing, Super Bowl activities and like just for the sake of food and cuisine, probably, but like I'm not.
Stop by for some buffalo chicken dip and just leave.
Yeah, right. I've been looking up some recipes on Instagram Reels, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think
well, this
so.
is where you really get tested as a mid-20s-year-old professional because I feel a professional sense of responsibility to watch it because I work on a morning show for 4 hours every morning, so I have to watch it. Am I looking forward to watching it? Absolutely not, to answer your question. So maybe I won't, and I'll just lie and say I did. I don't know.
It is also just like with the. I mean, I guess you cannot have the conversation about the Super Bowl as a Lions fan without talking about the fact that it's depressing that your team was so close and is now not in it. But like, I can't think of a more just like, I don't care to watch. And I don't have the Chiefs hatred and Patrick Mahomes hatred that most people do. But I just don't care to watch the Chiefs again. I don't care to see them win. I don't care to watch the Niners for obvious reasons, but also like the Niners to me, yeah, they've been the best, if not one of the best teams in the NFL all year long. But it's just like, what's the storyline there that I'm supposed to get behind? Because Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft. Is that how much longer am I supposed to hold on to that? Like it's some amazing miracle that like they're where they are. I don't know what to
Well,
tell you.
especially after he takes the last kneel down against our Lions, and then he starts flexing and going insane on the sideline like he's some sort of,
Oh my God,
godsend.
Trent, no, Trent, we're not doing this. We're not. I can't. Guys, I've literally. Trent said this, I think, before that he's like in full denial. I am legit in full denial. I have not got into.
Let me look at the stages of grief. I want to see where I am at.
I'm like, I might be in denial until like I haven't watched Sports Center. I go to the gym and I run on the treadmill on the news side. Everyone knows the gym where they have the wall of TVs. I go on the news side now. So I'm
Yeah,
usually
with the
watching,
guys
like,
that are sitting,
CNN.
the
I'm
guys that
watching
are sitting
CNN,
on the bike
Fox News.
reading the newspaper.
Yeah,
Like
I
for
almost
those
brought a book
guys.
to that. I can't do it. I've only watched college hoops. I can't even think about football. That's I mean, we can talk about it. And I want to hear Rabs' experience. I'm gonna
Yeah,
wait to
that's the
let's talk about Rabs going to San Fran because
that's the
the
main
last
thing.
communication we had with you, you said it was one of the better trips you took, and sounded like it was well
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah, so I for those who have not listened to the podcast, I did go to San Francisco for this game. I had the craziest fucking flight going out there and coming back too. I had like I flew into like Dallas at 10 something at night, had a layover, was at the airport at like 6 o'clock in the morning, then got to San Fran. My flight coming home was even worse. I'll get into that too. But um a good friend of mine that one of my best friends for pretty much my entire life lives out there now. So it was a great get two birds stoned at once type of situation where I got to see him and check that off the list as far as, visiting where he's established his young adult life and obviously going to see the game. So I've never been to the West Coast. I was absolutely blown away. I would probably go on record saying that San Francisco is my favorite city that I've ever been to. And it's like when you're rolling up in there as someone that, I mean, I get out a decent amount, but I don't get out like some people do. The landscape when you're driving in, it's like something out of Avatar. It's crazy because have either of you guys been to California, or I guess more specifically San Francisco?
Only time I went to California is when Michigan State played in the Rose Bowl.
And I can't speak to how that area looks compared to San Francisco, but it's all just like hills and all these houses are it's like almost like you see pictures in
It's
Italy.
bizarre.
It's crazy. It's like I've never seen anything
Yeah.
like it.
Well, I've never been to San Francisco, and there's probably a variety of different things. The weirdest thing, like when I went to LA and California, you're right. They're built like there's like neighborhoods on hillsides and stuff
Yeah,
like
it's
that,
nuts.
and they're all super expensive and it's crammed. The traffic shit.
Yeah.
But I think that's more of an LA than San Francisco problem. Downtown LA is still the weirdest place I've ever been in my entire life.
Really? Is it worth
Well, you go
going?
to like LA Live and you're like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then you're like, where else do people go in downtown LA? You're like, I don't know. That's not a thing. Like, it's just at least when we went, it was so bizarre. And then like, it's such a California is like a driving state. Know what I mean? It's not. It doesn't feel like. I don't know if San Francisco is like this. And I think San Francisco is more of a transportation than LA. I think LA is a lot of like driving, and there's like sprawling neighborhoods like Newport and Venice and all these other places that are in LA, and that's a little bit different than San Francisco. But yeah, California is weird, very very weird. It's just
Yeah,
it's not weird. It's just so different from Michigan because Michigan
yeah,
is
it is. It is very different, but I loved it. I mean, I think obviously, like the first thing I did when I got there, because I arrived in the morning of a work day that my buddy was working. I was just putzing around, so I walked all the way to the Full House. I took a picture in front of the Full House, found that. There were. It's
Are
just
you a
like it's.
full house guy?
Yeah, I loved it when I was growing up. I found the house. There were like other people in front of it too. That at the same time, I was like, "You guys looking for the Full House?" They're like, "Yeah, we think this is it." And then some Terminex guy walked by and he's like, "Yeah, this is it." So I got a picture. I'll post the pictures on Instagram at some point. But just like the hills and the landscape, it's nuts. But just a ton of there's a ton of cool, with every city, I guess, ton of cool different spots to go. We had some great meals. I had oysters for the first time. That was nice. I went to Alcatraz by myself.
Hold on. I have two
You like
questions.
oysters?
Yeah. One has to do with oysters. One has to do with Alcatraz. Oysters, you just knock those back. Is that like taking a shot?
Yeah. Well, okay.
Have you
So
not had oysters?
Never had oysters, but I feel like I'd be
You
good
live in
at it because I'm good
Florida.
at taking shots.
no. Well, first of all,
Trent,
I'll
you live
save.
in Florida. You live in Tampa.
He just got there.
Dude, here's the thing. I'm very scared. I'm very nervous to try oysters because I'm allergic to crab / lobster.
Oh, so yeah, if you're allergic to shellfish, and that's probably not
I would
okay.
probably just stay away. I think they're
Yeah.
I think they're fine. They were. I mean, nothing in
You put hot sauce
California
on them?
is. Yeah, they gave us, you get the little bit of caviar, like the roe or whatever, and then you get the different sauces. They're fine. They're expensive. You could probably eat like 40 of them and spend like $200 on them. The thing I don't like about them is the first, like I'll eat mussels. I like mussels, or like when you get like a
Very
little,
good.
you know, linguine, whatever, with some mussels in there. The thing I don't like about the oysters is the first hit, like you almost have to like dump out the seawater because you get like literally the first splash is like
That's
salt
why I don't
water,
really. That's why I
and
don't
then
really
you get
get
the
it.
oyster. Yeah,
But
I don't know.
what's the oyster flavor though? What's that?
Well, I think they have different types of oysters based on where they're harvested from, and to me, it's just varying levels of like saltiness and flavors. But it's not like, I don't know. It's definitely fishy. Like it's muscly, but it's like a soft boogery muscle. Like I don't have a problem with the consistency. I just don't like the hit of salt water right off the hop. So that, I mean, I was experiencing new things. The problem with that area is like it is just so beyond expensive. Like the first day I was there when I was doing my excursion, and I was like, I want to try some like local spots. Like I'm not here to go to like a Raising Cane's or anything. So I went to like a little bodega that made subs, like $20 for a sub. I don't know. I mean, I get it, the income, you know, if you're living there, you're probably making a good chunk of money, but very expensive. But it was awesome. I'll tell you about Alcatraz later because that was what I did after. I did on Monday
Yeah.
before I flew out,
By,
which was
by
it
the
was
way,
yes,
I
go
thought
ahead.
that was pretty fitting, Rabs. How you kind of went to the most grim,
Oh,
disgusting,
dude,
like
it was hilarious. I'll I'll give you that story at the end. But it was, as far as, you know, just again, great to see my friends. Awesome city. There's something about just being on the water like that. Like we had some, I must have walked. God, I feel like I walked 100 miles that weekend, just walking everywhere, up and down the piers, up and down the coast, taking pictures of the bridge. It was amazing. And the weather was beautiful. The sun was out. It was awesome. I honestly can't wait to go back. It was a hell of a time. So getting into Sunday now, as we can talk about the game, I never really had a good pulse on Niners fandom whatsoever. I will say for the most part, and for the most part being like 99.9%, everyone was awesome. Like I think all the Niners fans thought it was super cool how many Lions fans were there. We got a parking spot in one of their lots, which like truly wasn't even that close to the stadium, but it was like
Isn't
the
the stadium? I hear my dad said, because he used to work out there a lot, is in the middle of nowhere.
it is. It's really like they have parking lots that surround the stadium, but that's all it is. It's just parking lots, and then it's the stadium. It really is in the middle of nowhere. But the whole weekend leading up to this game, like it was the best weekend of my life until the third quarter. And I know I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but like just the vibes and just seeing Lions fans out, like people wearing Lions gear the whole weekend. It was great. And the Niners fans were very hospitable. The parking lot we were at was like all Lions fans. I don't know how it happened, but like there were just like someone had a TV. We got to watch the AFC Championship game. There was food, like it was great. So the vibes were great going to the stadium. Everyone was pretty cool. Like no one was really giving us shit. Like they just more so were like, you know, because I like we don't have any business talking shit either because we were just so happy to be there. And I had told my buddies going in, I was like, yeah, we paid a good chunk to make this happen. But when we walk into the stadium, it's going to be like, I can't fucking believe we're here. And that's exactly what it was. So, really nice tailgate scene. Like they have some, I mean, I think every fan has their rabid fan bases. But the thing that's unique to that stadium that I wish Ford Field had is like Ford Field doesn't have the like ginormous parking lot where you can just walk and there's tons of tailgates. It's like people were at Comerica, people are by bookies, you know, people are in all these different spots in Detroit versus like San Francisco has all these parking lots surrounding the stadium that like you can just walk through miles of tailgates with people that have the buses and like the crazy, like your super fans in Detroit, Don, like those people are all spread out throughout. I don't know, like you don't find those people in Detroit. I feel like I don't know. Maybe I don't know the tailgate scene well enough.
Well, the thing about Detroit, it's in the city. It's legit in the city, and it sounds like
Yeah, it's fair.
Levi's
This was
not.
not. This was
Yeah,
not. So, we sat up in the 400 section. We got right in. And it was, I mean, it was great. Like I thought the stadium was cool. Not that I got to see a ton of it, but just like the backdrop of the stadium, and I have some great pictures of the sunset as time is going down. But it was an awesome experience. And before we start to talk about the game and interweave our feelings and whatnot, it was probably the best sporting experience in my life. I would say not probably, hands down. I don't regret a second of it. I know the Lions lost, but it was one of the most fun times I've had visiting a new city and going to a game in general. So it was phenomenal. 49ers fans are great. They're definitely passionate about their team, and you can tell they were getting kind of worked up. Like when the Lions took control of the game, they were down and out. But everyone was cool for the most part. Every fan base has their couple of guys that drink too much during the game. And when you're walking your car in the parking lot, you just want to haul off and cold cock someone. But it was great. I appreciate the experience. So as far as the game is concerned now, I mean, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. That is truly the only way that I can describe it. That game, to start off the way the Lions did, I mean, it was nowhere on my bingo card to have the Lions go up early to take control of the game like they did in the first quarter and to go into halftime up 24-3. And there was a lot of Lions fans around us too, and it was more so of just like this constant state of, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this. Like I can't believe, like, because everyone expected to go into this game like it's going to be a dogfight. Like there's, the Lions might get blown out. Who knows? Like nowhere in the realm of possibilities until I did act, to my credit, I did say, and I was a little bit tuned up when I said it the night before. I was like, I think the Lions might actually just beat the shit out of them. What if that happens? Like that's just where my brain went. But It was on no one's bingo card for what transpired to happen. So it was literally just like, yes, Trent, maybe on your bingo card.
For the sake of attacking this, I know Rabs was there, and your perspective is, in this case, much more valuable than anything me or RC could bring to the table. But I feel like we should go first half reactions. I know it's going to be painful, but we have to talk about what we felt like when the emotions were at that, volcanic
I'll
high.
wrap it up because I've been talking for forever. Trent,
No, you're fine. You're fine. I just want to. I feel like there's a dichotomy with attacking this game.
Yeah.
We have to talk about the first half, and then we can talk about the second.
You know better than anyone because you FaceTimed me or I FaceTimed you in the middle of like a touchdown frenzy, and I was screaming my ass off. I was like, You gotta fucking show up to play. You gotta come ready. You can't just like I was elated. And again, it wasn't this like cocky, arrogant, like whatever, but like just the stadium was probably 35 to 40% Lions fans, and to hear it be overtaken by the Jared Goff chant, which later got thrown back in our face by Niners fans, and let's go Lions chants, like it was insane. And it wasn't this like cocky, arrogant, like look at us type of thing. It was literally like people hugging and embracing and being like, what is going on? I can't believe this is the way the game is unfolding. Like, we're going to do it. Like, I literally, again, after 2 quarters of football, to wrap up my soliloquy, and you guys can explain how you felt, I was like this, like they're going to the Super Bowl. Like, it's over. We did it. I can't believe I'm here to see it. Like, this is going to be, I was envisioning in my brain. I told my buddies this. I was watching the rest of the night play out in my brain of like, we're going to go to this bar. We're going to be drinking. I'm going to bed at 4. Like, I had the whole night mapped out of like, this is the greatest day ever. Like, I'm not going to be let down. This is it. And then obviously, halftime was great. They were playing Journey, even though they're kind of a hack job now because the original singer hasn't been with them. But, South Detroit, everyone's screaming. It was literally until the ball kicked off in the third quarter was the best day of my life. And I will turn it over to you guys leading up to as we reach the rising action and climax of the story.
I don't know about Trent's a little bit different than I am, but I'm a nervous person watching games. And like, especially in big games. First of all, I'm not gonna act that I don't yell or scream and stuff like that. Games and stuff like I'll be watching Michigan State basketball game at 9 p.m. and I will be yelling at Maddie Suzuko to go over a screen tonight. You know what I mean? Like I will be screaming at why Jaden Akins went under one. I am not that. I'm not like that. I'm not a quiet person watching it, but when it comes to big games, I get super nervous.
Yeah, I do too, truly.
And I get and I nervous drink. So I just quietly drink to myself.
That's not good.
No, but it's not, I don't get hammered or drunk, but I'm just it keeps the shakes away. So when it was going on, the JMO play happens, the whole first half where they beat the shit out of them. I mean, they dominated them.
Yes.
Point blank. And I was like, what the fuck? I didn't even know what to say because I'm like, okay, guys, let's just start out the half and whatever. And we talked about the second half and the decision making and all Josh Reynolds and all this bullshit.
And I can feel my blood just.
It's not even that. I'm gonna cry. I'm just so sad thinking about this. But it genuinely, I'm not even gonna say what my feeling is about the first half. And I was confident. I didn't allow myself. I wanted myself to go there. I was like, oh my God, should I take work off next Monday? But I didn't say it out loud. I didn't say it out loud. I was like, Ryan, shut up. A lot of things didn't happen, and a lot of things did. I didn't give Trent what he felt in that first half because the only feelings I remember are after and the literal sheer heartbreak that was. I mean, I don't know how you're a Lions fan and you're just not. I have buddies who continue to talk to me about the Lions. Shout out Rob. I love you, buddy. But they'll send me messages about next year. I'm like, guys, I can't do it right now. I physically can't even think about it.
Not enough time has passed.
I need till the combine to and then I'll be like, okay, let's get back into fall. I need a little, but it is to get that close and the way it happened. I'll let Trent go because I don't know how we're going to do this. Do you guys want me to just explain how I felt after the game or
no? We'll get into it.
No, we'll go back. We'll go snake draft. We'll go back around.
Well, I mean, I will just say that. I mean, Jared Goff was fucking awesome. The offense was humming. Offensive line kicked the shit out of them. They were running the football whenever they wanted. Defense was opportunistic. Purdy looked shaky. So everything you felt like if the Lions had a chance of winning this game basically was happening in the first half, and shit happened in the side.
Excuse me. To revisit kind of what we talked about when we previewed the game, we just talked about how, or at least I did, I think you guys were on board with me, was the best chance the Lions have to win is to get out in front early. Make Purdy beat you. Make Purdy be the guy that has to use his arm and his legs to beat you. And boy, did he ever. As far as the game, that first half, I don't know. I've never been this upset or this emotional talking about anything on this podcast, but it was so special because for a number of reasons for me. I moved down here and you move away from home and you don't really have the support system you had. I don't even know where I'm going with this. You watch Lions games with your friends and family, basically, right? So I'm down here, and what do I have happening as soon as the Lions win that playoff game against the Rams? I got family reaching out. My aunt and uncle want me to come over for the game. My grandparents who just moved down there, they want to drive up an hour to come see me and watch the game. That kind of stuff is special, man. That's what the Lions did this season. They brought people together in more ways than one. I guess that's more of a zoom out big picture thing. But as far as that game, man, at halftime, my aunt comes over to me. We're at some sports bar named Rusty's. She comes over to me. She grabs my hands.
They definitely have some good wings at Rusty's.
The wings are incredible. 75-cent wings, Collins. You would love them.
That.
So
yeah.
Aunt Wendy sits down, grabs my hands. She's got tears in her eyes. She goes, Trent Bally. This is when we're up 17. By the way, she's never called me Trent Bally in her entire life. I'm always just T. I'm T.
What's your
T.
middle name, by the way?
William.
I knew that, actually. I was going to say William. All right, continue.
Trent William Bally. But she grabs my hand. She goes, Trent Bally. Tears in her eyes. Wiping away tears with napkins on the table. It just, she goes, they're almost there. They can do this. It's right there. And I Rabs, I was in the fetal position. I was like you, or I was like, I can't believe this might be happening.
New
Yet in the
stimulus.
back of my head, I'm thinking about all of my family members, my Uncle Harvey, people that didn't see this happening. And I'm starting to, the emotions are really picking up. And I'm thinking, holy shit, man, it's right there on the doorstep.
And you're 12 Miller Lights deep, too. So we can't take that into account.
I am an emotional mess. You want to talk about a train wreck? You want to talk about a train wreck on a Sunday afternoon. But then I guess we can get into the emotions after the game and what went wrong in the second half. But for about, I mean, Rabs, I think you nailed it. Till about halftime or till about that second half kickoff, it was the best day of my life. And that euphoric feeling of thinking the Lions are actually going to the Super Bowl, that's a high that I'll be chasing for the rest of my life. I'm serious. I mean, it was amazing. And I'm kind of with you in that I didn't really believe it yet because, like you said, a lot of things could happen. Like Colin said, you're not calling work off the next day because we've seen it our whole lives. And I'm not going SOL because it wasn't SOL. I'm simply just saying you don't want to get too comfortable in that moment. And then inevitably it changes on a dime. And I guess that's a decent segue into what we want to talk about here in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, I remember looking at both of my buddies and I was like, we're 30 minutes away. Like this is like, it's literally, and that I think is the hardest part about it is like, it wasn't like you were up 3 or up 7 or tied. Like the game was game, set, match essentially. And I think we will do our due diligence in breaking down what went wrong and how the game played out, because there's a lot of different angles that we can approach that. And I admittedly have not listened on Collins. I'm sure you have. I have not listened to 97 Won the Ticket since I have no idea what
I haven't even thought about it.
Dude,
I have no idea.
You know what, Rabs? Let me just throw this in there real quick. I think that's what's great about the three of us. We are such big fans. This is the only podcast in America where 8 days after the game, we're recording an episode, and none of us have listened to a second of local sports talk radio about this game.
I haven't listened to any sports talk radio.
I don't know what like the analysts have said. I don't know what like Mike Valeni and company have said. I don't know what Rich from Waterford has called in and said. Like, I don't know where the fan base is, but I can just tell you, being there, like, I don't think that there was a second in which I was like happy in the second half at all. Like, even like the Niners come down, I think they kicked 3 immediately. And as soon as we got into the decision making of like, and that's like the one spot that I didn't want to be in, was having to make decisions on like, okay, what are we doing here? Because this is going to have an outcome on the game. And that's the only spot that I was in, because by like 8 minutes into the third quarter, the whole game had changed. And when I've played enough sports, I've been around it long enough to know when the momentum shifts that greatly, like the game was essentially equaled out at 0 going into the fourth quarter. And like my one friend will try to sell me that he still thought we could win. It's unfortunate that going into the fourth quarter, I was like, I'm right back to like, this is like 2014. Like I have no confidence and nothing that the team did this whole year mattered to me anymore, because you kind of saw it snowball and go down. So, I mean, in short, before I kick it around to you guys and we talk about the actual game, it was horrible. Like it was to literally have it in your hands of like, if you play that game 1,000 times, I'd like to think maybe not 999, but like that doesn't happen. It shouldn't happen. You should never, being up 17 and you're on the road in the NFC Championship game, like you have sucked all the energy out of the building. Truly, like all the energy was gone in that building.
And this is coming from someone who was there.
Yeah, I was like, just the Niners fans were like, what the fuck just happened? And just, it was just death by 1,000 paper cuts, slow death of moment after play of, okay, the defense isn't getting the stop. The offense isn't moving the ball anymore. All right, we're not converting on 4th down. Like, it all just unraveled. And truly, again, to play out the scenario in my brain of how awesome that Sunday night was going to be, and that feeling of we're going to have 2 more weeks of this, and that's all I've said the entire playoff run. I just don't want it to end. I get 2 more weeks of being on top of the world. Nothing else in life matters except this football team right now. And it was just all taken away. And then you start to think about, how much was my flight to get out here? I got to fly out at 11:30 p.m. tomorrow night. I paid how much for this ticket? Like, all these things start to, like, how many shots did I buy at the bar? Like, it all starts to come into your brain of, like, what the fuck just happened? And it was the worst. It was the worst. And it still continues to be, like, it's so hard to come to terms with, to be right there and have it taken away.
I won't.
So, Collins, someone else talk about their demise.
Well, I had 10 buddies over. It was a hostile environment. And when things go wrong, people get hot. There's people screaming at each other.
Yeah, like debate decisions like 5 minutes after the play.
I'm telling my buddy Geshi, I'm like, they gotta kick this. Like, they got it. Like, the second one. We'll discuss it, and I stand by what I said earlier in the year. Live and die with Dan. I think the second one was wrong just by the fact that the team had no momentum. But guess what? That kick was not a gimme. So
yes, Collins, I'm so happy to hear that from you.
It wasn't. Do I think he should have kicked it? Yes. Am I gonna? Is that why they lost the football game? No, they lost the football game because Josh Reynolds drops a huge 4th down. To be honest, that was a tough play, like, whatever. Like, he still shouldn't have caught that ball. The second one was the worst one because that was a 35-yard gain. There was nobody there. I mean, he keeps running for a while after that. It settles everything down. You're moving the ball back into territory. That's a little bit different. And the Gibbs fumble. I think the Gibbs fumble has kind of gone under the radar.
Yeah.
Like, that quarterback running back exchange just wasn't there, and Gibbs wasn't able to hold on. After that, I was like, fuck. Like, the helmet thing, the first drop, and some other decisions, like, it is what it is. But it just happened so fast, and it was fucking like a train. Like, it was over. And then when you got to the 4th quarter and they don't get that 4th down, you're like, oh, the game's over. That was my only problem. Like, the game was over. The defense was gassed. They didn't do anything in the second half. Sutton and Gardner Johnson were terrible in that NFC Championship game. Both of them. They were awful. And all the mojo they had just got deflated out. And as much as, like, Campbell can motivate at the end of the day, like, when something like that happens, you're not getting your boys back unless you have a special group, and they weren't special enough to get the job done. And the thing that hurts the most, Rab said it exactly, is they were 30 minutes away. All year they didn't play this type of football. That is why it's super fucking frustrating. And it's something that until the Lions are able to get to the Super Bowl, and I've said this to you guys a lot, that I would rather have a Tigers like title. I'd rather have a Michigan State Hoops title, which I still stand by the MSU Hoops thing, because I have scar tissue there. Know what I mean? Like, this is scar tissue. This is something that makes you want it so much more. And once you're away from it, you're like, fuck, are we ever going to have a chance to get back there? And I'm not, and I love what Campbell said after the game, basically telling the guys, like, hey, like, it's going to be harder next year. We're not fucking sneaking up on anyone anymore. It's going to be hard to win this division. You might never get back to this game, because I think that's real. We talked about this. Sports windows are way shorter than what people think. Unless you have a player like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, unless you have the tits, you have Patrick Mahomes, you never know when it's just going to end. So I'm not saying this is one or done for the Lions, but when you're there, you got a fucking chance. We talked about it last week. You fucking got a chance, and they were right fucking there. And it's gonna take a long fucking time for me. And I think it's probably number 2 on sports losses for me. I think 2019 MSU Final Four will forever be my number 1, just for the fact that I just don't understand how they lost that game to Texas
God, they
Tech.
played so fucking bad that day too.
And they still
that was my fault though, because I watched every game at Reno's East and it was full, so I had to go to Reno's West. So that's no one else's fault but mine.
No, but like I think that there's just something about that, and we were still there, and there was an assumption after it was different because we beat Duke, and you're like, oh, we slayed the dragon, and then they just fucking gave it. Like, know what I mean? Like, even if the Lions won this game, I'd be like, I can't believe Lions are in the fucking Super Bowl. So like, I don't know. I think that's my number one. So this is number two. Actually, I take everything back. My number one is the 2013 ALCS. Nothing will ever compare to the feeling I ever had that night. But yeah, it's there. It's right there. It's one of the worst days. I had 10 people at my house. I walked to the bar, had 4 beers, and then went to bed. The sad beers. I had to get away. I took a nice little 10-minute walk to the bar, got a couple beers, and just I asked them if they could put a movie on. They were like, "We don't do that here." And
can you please put on Shawshank Redemption?
It was really funny though. They were like changing the channels. I think because it was like I don't know what the game was on Fox, and then they were changing it to like ESPN when I got there. And in the middle, like when they were flicking channels, it was like Joel Osteen, and I'm like, guys, please keep this on. I need some wisdom.
The 700 Club.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, man. I have nothing else to say more than the fact that like I'm not angry. I'm just sad. I'm pointedly just sad because, like Rab says it, I just wanted another week. I wanted another there's
2 weeks.
There, and we've never experienced this in our life with the Lions. And I think it was Michigan State Hoops is a really good example of that. Like when playoff baseball is really weird, where it kind of all happens in like a week and a half, and you don't have a break. It's like games every other night. It's just fucking chaotic. And I think the NBA playoffs is kind of like that too. But when you're like in the NFL, you win a playoff game, then you got a week to get excited about it. Like the NCAA tournament, you make it to the second weekend, you got a week to get excited about.
Yep.
It makes the workday a little less stressful because guess what? Fucking Saturday, I get to watch the Lions play. You know what I mean? Like it's just fucking sucks. I'm sad about it. I'm still in denial. I haven't got to. We were talking about the stages of grief. I'm not in anger yet, and to be honest, I don't know if I'll ever be in anger because this team, as much as it sucked, and I'm not going to do the people who are doing it the day after could like actually go fuck themselves.
Right. Yes.
It's like, give this team credit. Who would have thought this team got there? We just gave up a 17-point lead in the fucking NFC Championship game. I don't want to hear the fucking next day. I'm about to blow my brains out thinking about it. But with a little time and space, I mean, this team exceeded almost every expectation they had this year. You got your answer at quarterback. That's another storyline. Golf was fucking awesome in this game.
Yeah, and Collins, I want to hang on to that because we got to talk about them extending him. We got to do
we'll do that. How about we'll do that? I don't want to get into
not today.
They're gonna extend him. It's just I don't know how much they're gonna pay him. I don't think any of us can disagree with the fact that he's getting extended. So I don't.
And he should. I just didn't want to.
I don't even think that's a conversation anymore. The way he played this playoffs and the way he played this year. So, but yeah, this is gonna hurt. I don't know. That fucking helmet catch will be like Torrey Hunter falling over the wall, stuff like that. That will be a picture that's burned in my fucking brain, and. Like whenever I see people post it, we'll post it on Twitter. I'll block them and call them bad words because if you like torture, if you want to watch that, I will never watch that game again. I will never. I'm about to like cry thinking about it.
It's like Collins. It reminds me of like in Fever Pitch when they like walk in on him in the dark. And
it's like
he's watching the Buckner video.
Yeah. It's literally it's a sickness. Seriously. And
all right, well, sorry, Collins, go ahead. My bad.
No, I'm just that is just my take. I'm not mad. I'm not like I don't know how I could be what this team did this year. I love that. I love this team. I love the players on it. I like the leaders they have. Like Amon-Ra is probably one of my favorite line is my favorite Lion probably ever. Frank Radnow might be too. Fucking love that guy. But I'm just sad because they were right fucking there.
Yeah, it's so hard. I think the theme has become, as we're now 8 days removed, the theme of the season has become your adjusted expectations. That's really what it is. Because coming into the year, right, it was the Vegas win total was 9.5 for the Lions. And not only did they achieve that, they way surpassed it. They won 12 games in the regular season, 14 overall if you count the playoffs. They were 7-point dogs going to San Fran. They're up 17.5. I mean, and they covered that game, by the way. But just for a team that, I mean, you want to talk about last year, the team on Hard Knocks, that was the team that Cannon Wills had Dan Campbell. And this year's teams, it was a lot of different personnel, but it was the same ideal, same grit mentality. For that team to do what it did, I got no words for it. Like you guys said, it's more pain than anything, but I also had a whole lot of pride going to bed that night on Sunday. And like Colin said, no one wants to hear that right after the game. So I didn't.
If you weren't trying, I'm happy you didn't say that, because if you would have said that, I would have said some bad things, because I couldn't handle it.
So I'm self-aware enough to know I didn't push that on anybody, because my brothers were both falling apart too. And
I want to hear, Trent. I also want to hear about your emotional collapse too. I hate to be a sick fuck like that, but I'm curious as to what your play-by-play was during the.
Yeah, what did you do after the game ended? You just go home
hold on, Trent. Just cook. You bring it all on the stew. Put it all on the pot of stew. Put it in the crock pot.
I'll revert to what you guys were talking about at halftime again. I grabbed my aunt's hands. We're talking. She's a diehard Lions fan. We're looking in each other's eyes. I say, Aunt Wendy, they're so close. They're right there. They're right there.
Edging.
30 more minutes. And I remember texting my friend group from high school. I said, guys, 30 more minutes. Believe it. And even going into the fourth, when it was 15 minutes and shit was unraveling, I'm getting choked up here. I texted them. I said, 15 minutes. It's 15 more minutes, even though you're only up 3. Or was it tied going in the fourth? I don't even remember. It just felt like they still had a chance, and you had to believe. So, Rabs, to answer your question, the emotional breakdown was just, it was horrible. I mean, I'm watching this. I'm watching this game with my grandparents who drove an hour up to hang out with me. I didn't want them to do it, quite frankly, because, when they're going to be driving home, it's going to be dark. And I was like, I don't want you guys to be doing that. I don't want you driving in the dark, all that stuff, all the responsible young man stuff that you think of. And I'm like, man, this means that much to that many people. But that's a whole different conversation. Once you got to the fourth quarter, there was clearly nothing to lose. And, did I have a whole lot of confidence when the Lions were going for it on fourth down? No, I didn't. But I stand by the decision. I sound like it was my decision. I don't mean.
First of all, like I said, that's how they played all year.
Yes, and that's
hard. It's really hard to criticize. That's how they were successful all year. And the kick, and the people acting like the kick was a fucking 25-yarder. It wasn't.
It wasn't a chip shot, and it was outdoors.
It wasn't. I still would have tried it. I'm not. But I don't know how you can get mad at that. That's how they played all year.
Yes, you can't get mad at it. That's and again, I don't want to get into a whole debate about that, because I think at the end of the day, honestly, which it's kind of funny that we're here talking about this, but when you're talking about the Lions in the NFC Championship game, the last thing anyone wants to hear is X's and O's. And I guess that's kind of why I'm proud of the three of us for taking a week to digress here and actually let this stew a little bit, because no one wants to hear about the X's and O's of the game. Yes, Cam Sutton sucked. CJ Gardner-Johnson sucked. There were a lot of things with this Lions team all season that were a little bit of a warning sign of what was to come in this NFC Championship game. But it sucks when you taste it and you feel it. And I just want to harp on something Colin said before we maybe get into some quick game thoughts. I don't know, because I haven't usually, guys, full transparency, when we do this podcast, we're all good friends. We love each other. I watched the YouTube video. I watched the 20 minutes compressed highlights, and I, write down some thoughts on the game. I haven't touched it, guys. I haven't. So as far as X's and O's, I have zero thoughts on this game. But to get back to what Rabs and Collins are both talking about, as far as how much this hurts, nothing compares to this for me. Nothing. And Collins, I think
2013 ALCS, personally for me, is probably my one.
And that's fine. I'm not putting that down. I'm not putting that down because I remember what that felt like too. I also remember what it felt like in 2019 to lose to Texas Tech when I firmly, with every fiber in my body, felt like the Michigan State Spartans were the best team in the country. I understand that pain, but nothing compares to this. And Rabs,
dude, god damn it, sucks, dude. This sucks, bro.
Rabs, I'll circle back to Rabs on this because if Collins didn't just go off the rails there, I'm going to go off the rails in 30 more seconds. This team met expectations for me. It just sucks. No one wants to hear that.
Just the way it sucked. Just point blank. It was fucking awful.
I didn't sleep, Rabs. I did not sleep on Sunday night. I was doing tequila shots till about 2:30 in the morning, and then I made a business decision, an adult decision to cut that off by about, that time. And then
you had to be at work in 2 hours.
Yeah, that's right. And I made it. I made it just fine. Probably not my finest hour, but I'll tell you what, that was one of the hardest
losses. Ask you to talk about it on the show?
Yes. Oh yeah. And hold on.
What did you? Were you like, guys? I don't fuck yourself.
Well, my response to everything was pretty much, proud of my team. Don't want to talk about it. You got to remember,
Dude,
I'm
physically dying in here. I'm dying.
Not to mention, Collins, a lot of the fan base down here, they're all Bucks fans. They had to hear about my gloating last week, and they were all giving me shit going into not last week, 2 weeks ago in the Bucks game. So, Rabs, we can wrap around and we can do a Jim Leahy wrap around and talk about whatever we want to talk about at this point. But that sucked.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's elements of the game, like to break the game down. Maybe is like we're kind of lost on that now at this point, but I do think there's elements, and this is why I say, like, I haven't listened to 97.1. I haven't heard what you guys have had to say. There's been the opinions that I've had filtered in here and there of like what went wrong and who's to blame and whatever and all that. But I do think there's elements of the game to discuss and debate. It sounds like I'm on a very different page than you guys are. To blame this game and this loss on one person is not fair and not right, because there are a million different things in that game that happen in the second half. And you can look at, the lack of efficiency from the offense. You can look at the lack of maybe adjustments that the defense made, and all of a sudden Brock Purdy became Lamar Jackson and the Lions had no way of handling it as far as how his mobility and just the overall, I don't even want to say like foot off the gas, because I don't believe that it was a matter of like the team like, oh, we're good, like we don't have to try anymore.
To that point real quick, I think if Gibbs doesn't fumble, they're going down, they're pulling out all the stops, they're throwing the ball, they're scoring on that drive.
Yeah, I mean, so it is like, again, like, as you see, for whatever reason, all this time and all this year in the second half with this team, the abandonment of the run game in the second half, Gibbs fumbles, that obviously couldn't have happened in a worse spot. And he hasn't really done that all year. Josh Reynolds drops 2 big balls. That's like, you could clip that. That was tough. When you guys talk about the helmet, because I didn't really I was, again, watching the game live. It was the other end. That was like off of Vildor's helmet in the IU's hand.
Rabs. It was. I'll let Collins talk about it. It was 100% Torrey Hunter territory. It was like, what the hell is going on?
You'll watch. There was something that will be like a clip.
Yeah.
Rabs, if his hand literally in it doesn't happen. I mean, it's one of those things where people are like, catch the ball. And I'm like, dude, even if he doesn't catch it, if it just doesn't go into Ayuk's hands, it's 3rd and long.
Yeah.
That's all.
So, I mean, I think I'm at the point, and I was just looking up the stages of grief. First is denial. I think I was in denial for the couple days afterwards. I think I'm probably still on that anger stage. And like, I have a hard time, and I'm sure I will at some point, being able to look back on this season and be like, you know what? It was great. It was a hell of a run. Like, I'm just not there. And I'm not there because I literally witnessed.
I don't think anyone is.
Well, but like, to like, I just am not at the spot where I can look at this team and be like, I'm so proud of them. It was a great year because, as we said, and Trent, you put it perfectly, like this whole season has been, the Lions essentially went from like 6 to midnight in terms of, obviously the way they ended last year was great. They won a shit ton of games in a row. They were right there. They could have made the playoffs. Yes, Trent.
It's very, thank you for calling on me, by the way. You didn't have to do that. It's different when, it's kind of hard when it's step by step, right? Because before the season, I mean, everyone could go listen to what our preseason expectations were in our preseason episode. I mean, we all believed, I think we all had them at least at 10 wins. We all believed they'd win the North, but it's kind of different when it's step by step and they get there and you're like, holy shit, they actually did it. And then, they win a playoff game and it's like, oh my God, they get another one at home. And then they do. So the expectations kind of get reset. And I think that's what adds to the pain so much is, I want your guys' opinion on this, not to derail the conversation, but my little brother Miles famously or infamously, depending on, what was said afterwards. And our group chat, our family group chat said, I would have rather lost 45-10. 100%. I would have rather just killed, because then if you get killed in the NFC Championship game, it's like, all right, we made it this far. Should we have made it this far? Maybe not. We got some things to work on. We'll be back next season. This was different. You're up 17. You're that good. You're Super Bowl worthy, and you get it ripped out of your hands because of some clumsy efforts. But that's all.
It's almost like, you talk about the level of expectations. Like, I think I was in the camp of, honestly, if they would have won the North and like not won that playoff game against the Rams, probably wouldn't have been as upset. But you win the playoff game, great. Now, if you lose to the Bucks, like, it's a game you should win, but probably I'm not too upset. Like, hey, good for these guys. They took the next step. But to take the leap like they did in terms of, you go from being a non-playoff team to now you're 30 minutes away from a Super Bowl. Like, that's what made it hurt a lot, I think. But I trust me when I say that I understand this idea of like, this is what got the Lions here. They're aggressive. They're unapologetic. They go for it on fourth down. And I've tweeted this before during the season, that I have a very toxic relationship with Dan Campbell. I'm very, very, very disappointed in the coaching. Very disappointed. I think both of the attempts to kick for 3, the first attempt that you have the ability to, and it's funny to me too, and I get that they're completely different scenarios, but nobody was ranting and raving when they settled for 3 at the end of the half. But as soon as they have a chance, they give up 3 immediately in the third quarter. And I get that you're up 14, but you now have the ability to kick a field goal and you're back up 3 scores. Like, to me, I would like to see you kick there. And I wasn't that pissed off about it in the moment. The second time when you had an opportunity to tie the game back up as well. And I know, guys, they're not chip shots. I know that your kicker, and like, it again goes back to the fact that they've neglected the kicking position since Matt Prater has left this team, and it's been completely irresponsible. So like, what's the point of even putting Badgley on the plane? But I thought it was completely irresponsible to not kick for 3 to go back up 3 scores. I thought it was completely irresponsible to not kick to tie the game up. And when you're on the goal line and you run the football on third down and have to burn a timeout, and no matter what happens with the onside kick, the game is already over. I thought those were 3 major coaching decisions that, to say like they cost you the game. Again, Reynolds catches a ball. We're all talking about different things, but what I can't stand is when I have people say the line to me like, well, if Josh Reynolds catches a ball, are you upset that they go for it on fourth down? Obviously not, bro. But if the Seahawks run the fucking ball with Marshawn Lynch and score against the Patriots in the Super Bowl, like, are you really mad at them for or if I'm sorry, I phrased that wrong. If the Seahawks complete that pass and they score, are you really upset? Obviously fucking not, but it didn't happen. So that argument that I have to listen to people give me, and I promise I'll get through this 30 seconds here and I'll turn it over to you guys because I know you guys both disagree. I get that they've been aggressive all year long. It's different when it's game 12 and you're at home against the Falcons. Then
you're not in a DC. How do we have this conversation?
But I don't understand that argument.
This is their whole mentality. Did you see the Anzalone piece today?
I mean, I read the screenshot of all the dogs.
That's how you get this buy-in. They're all bought into this, Rabs.
That's fine. It's fine. I'm not sitting here and I'm like, Dan Campbell's not the guy. He shouldn't be the coach.
Okay. Hang on.
That's not what I'm saying. You're saying.
No. And hold on. I want to bridge the gap because I know Colin's going to drive here and he's going to do a great job with it. I want to bridge the gap right here because I'm not going to shit on either one of you. Rabs, I think, to use your quote from earlier, if the Lions run that play 100 more times, Josh Reynolds catches it 99 times. He's been great this year. So do I want to get on Josh Reynolds' case? Not necessarily. But to Colin's point, we're all dancing in the street and getting ready to bet on the Lions plus 4.5 against the Chiefs this weekend in Super Bowl 58 if he catches one of those passes. And that's all I'm saying. And
yeah,
we can talk about the decision make. I understand because Rabs, you were there and you're feeling the emotion and the ebbs and flows of the game. So I get it. But I'll let you finish. I just wanted to throw that in there. I think it was a very weird thing. And I don't want to do the whole SOL thing because I get upset when people even bring it up, but I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
But it's just, and I knew that was where this was going to go of like, you're not, I support Dan Campbell 100%. I think he is, I don't know. There's nobody else in the league that I would rather have coach this team and to be a fan of my team. And there is a camp out there, and I live with one of those people when my brother comes back home from school that is so disgusted by the decision-making and the lack of X's and O's, whatever, that, you know, maybe he'd like to move on, which I think is irresponsible. All I'm saying is I love Dan Campbell, and I understand that the aggressiveness is what if you want, quote unquote, got them here. Like, I'm not going to say like, oh, every time they go. Okay, but just because they go for it on fourth down a lot doesn't mean like that's the only reason why they're here. They're here because they're a good football team. What I'm saying is no one is going. I'm not going to look at Dan Campbell if they kick the ball when they go down when they're back up 14 and they kick the ball to go back up 3. If they miss both kicks, I'm not looking at Dan Campbell like, wow, bro.
Rabs, I must have misheard what, because I said this earlier. I thought he should have kicked the second one. Yes. I said that, but I'm not
Hang on. I think we're all in disagreement.
Are you saying the first one they definitely shouldn't have kicked? That goes against everything they've done all year. I just when you have
that
is such a hindsight moment by people when they don't get it.
but if you kick and you miss it and you're still up 14, I'm not sitting there being like, why didn't you go? There was neither of those situations where I was like, people were literally cheering. Lions fans stood up and cheered when they kicked at the end of the half because he had the offense on the field.
I know. That was insane.
Everyone had the same collective, like, thank God, Dan. And when they went for it and didn't get it, like, everyone's looking at each other like, yes, I get that Badgley's not Jason Hansen. I get it's not a chip shot. But if you do make the kick and now you're back up 3 scores, it's a completely different game. But if you do
get the first down and you're up a fucking
I understand, but they didn't.
Okay, wait. Hold on. I love this, by the way. This is vintage 2018 Motown Rundown. We haven't yelled at each other like this in a long time. Okay, I just want yes or no's, and then we can let Rabs continue. Yes or no, they should have kicked on the first one. I say no. Collins says no, and Rabs says yes. On the second one, I say no. Collins.
Yes.
I
just thought my reasoning that was different because I think Campbell's been pretty consistent this year when he goes for it. It's about pushing positive momentum. And they had positive momentum at that first time. And there was, hey, let's go fucking shove it down their throat. I trust my defense a little bit. At the second one, I thought you needed points. You needed to get some momentum back. And I would have been fine trying the kick. That was my take, and it ties the football game.
Okay. Well, my thoughts on the second one were at that point, I mean, you're already down. What was it at that point? 27, 24? Is that correct?
Yes.
They hadn't scored in a decade.
So at that point, you've lost all the momentum that you guys love to talk about.
That's my point. You get a field goal and you get back in it. You know what I mean? You get a little juice.
But that's where I think I'm like, okay, at that point, you're right back to where you were all season, which was no one believes in us. Chips are down. We're down 3. Let's go for this sucker. And if we get it, we take that shit right back. That's where I was at. Now, I know I'm in the minority there, but again, I think we're all in agreement that, I mean, Collins, you said it before we even mentioned any of this. This is the team was here for a lot of those reasons. So I think we can sleep at night. It just hurts. It sucks. That's all.
I do think, Rabs, another thing that's played in it, I think is not being talked about when we discuss this. They kick the field goal, they make it. San Francisco's going down and scoring a touchdown.
The Lions didn't stop them once.
Defense was fucking toast.
But you're still up.
No, Rabs. I'm not. This is not even an argument. Not an argument. And I agree with the second thing. And if you want to, I'm fine with people being critical with Campbell's decisions. That's fine. You are allowed to do that. And guess what? There's merit to it. It's not like he's unlike any other NFL coach in this situation. No other NFL coach would have went for that 40. No one would have went for that 4th and 3. And you could say that is an indictment on Campbell, but that's just who he is. So I'm not gonna get pissed about it because it's been successful enough for me to understand what they're doing and how it's positively affected the mentality of this team, not just the results. It's the mentality.
I also don't think he does these things because of his ego, because I don't think he has an ego. I don't think he does these things because people talk about how great it is when it works out. He does these things because he believes in his soul and in his internal being. Everything that Dan Campbell believes in what he's doing. And that's what got us to this point. And I guess, that's the eternal optimist in me. And I know everyone's sick of hearing that because we're still only 8 days removed. But Rabs, I do want to hear your thoughts on this.
So I cut off Rabs. Sorry.
Go ahead.
And I know, guys, you know how this podcast works. I fucking talk in circles, but I'm very passionate about this element of the game, and I know that this is what the Lions are. It's aggressive, it's unapologetic, but like Trent, when you say, it's not ego driven, and I don't believe that Dan Campbell puffs his chest out like I'm going to show the media they think I'm crazy. I don't believe that it's like that. But you have to be more situationally aware. You are on the road in the NFC Championship game, in a game that you've never been in before in my lifetime. There's nothing wrong, just like he did at the end of the half. And I know it's a different situation, but when I'm telling you that the offense was standing on the field and he runs the kick team out and every Lions fan in the building is standing up and cheering because they're like, thank you, Dan. We're going to go take some points. It's about momentum. It's about time on the clock. It's about situational awareness. All of these different things that need to be taken into account. And when you're on the road in this big of a game and you've played as well as you have, to gamble the way that he did when the Lions are now only up 14 as opposed to 17, and you have an opportunity to kick the ball and you can now go back up 3 scores. I don't give a shit if San Francisco, and to play that game of they're coming right back down and scoring. Well, what if they don't? It's this whole what if thing. His job is to put the team in the best position to succeed and make the decisions that give them the chance to be in the most successful positions. And I felt that between the two, going for it twice on 4th down and running the ball on 3rd and goal at the goal line when you have an opportunity to throw the ball, and if you don't convert and you go for it on 4th, you still have all your timeouts and you might get the ball back again. He did not do his job. in my opinion, and that's on him. And all he had to do in the press conference, and I get that he would never do this, and maybe this is an ego thing. He fucked up. He fucked that up. The team did not play well in the second half. The defense was ass. The offense couldn't move the ball. They abandoned the run. Josh Reynolds dropped 2 balls. They made plenty of mistakes. The game is not on Dan Campbell, but there were 3 decisions, in my opinion, in which you had an opportunity to put yourself in a position to win, that you took the lesser percentage play because you thought that this is what the Lions are, and you lost in spite of that.
I think most people agree with you, to be honest.
I don't think they do. And I gotta listen to this, like my dad, this is how they've played all year. My Uncle Steven and my brother agree. This is how they've played all year. This is what the Lions are. You take why is it all or nothing, Dan? Why can't you get in everyone's face pregame and spit in their face with the tobacco dripping down your chin and also kick field goals? I don't get it. Why can't you have both?
Because there's a very simple answer to this, and I'm not trying to diminish what you just said because I agree with a lot of your analysis, Rabs. Number 1, they don't trust their kicker. They had 2 kickers this year. Number 2, here's the bottom line. The Lions played to win that entire game. Played to win. One of those 4th downs gets converted. I believe the Lions win the game. And I don't want to die on this hill because
if Reynolds catches that ball, they win the fucking game.
About it. We'll talk about next season.
I know, and if my aunt had a hammer, she'd be my uncle. Like, that's what I mean.
No.
I know. You're right. But I hate.
Am I wrong?
You're not. But I hate.
No, you're not, Collins.
I hate the argument of like if they convert, you're not sitting here having this conversation.
Rabs, what are we talking about? If Michael Badgley misses the kick,
their kicker is unreliable.
If he misses, I'm not mad if they kick. What do you think? Oh, they should have gone for it? You think I'm going to be mad if they missed the field goal? They were trying to do the right thing. If Doug Baldwin catches the ball on the goal, no one's mad at
if they missed both of those reps, I guarantee you would say they should have went for it. I guarantee it.
Yep. Bingo.
But they didn't have a chance.
Hang on.
What if they made it?
Collins, say that again. I want Collins to repeat that.
What
and I know
if they made both and they win? Like, what are we talking about?
Whole argument, the whole reason you just got mad when I said if Reynolds catches that, they win the game was I'm tired of hearing of the ifs, and ands, and buts. It was an if Badgley was going to hit that field goal. The guy had missed 3 extra points last month of the year, and he was not. And the real problem is they don't have a fucking kicker. So Brad,
and also, let's not bury the lead here. The reason the Lions were in this position was because their secondary sucks balls.
Yeah, that's they've done, dude. C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That's one of the worst games I've ever seen.
Time to go. Yeah, thanks for coming out.
And trust me. I only bring that up because
what happened to Sutton this year. Completely lost his confidence.
Yeah, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about all that. Cam Sutton, he's on a 3-year deal. He'll be here for another 2 years. He's your cornerback too. Emmanuel Mosley, if you remember his name, was signed to be your number 1. He tore his ACL, his other ACL.
Emmanuel Mosley. He played 2 snaps for a long time.
I know, devastating. He's great. He was going to be great.
He was signed to be your number 1. Is all I'm saying. So there's a lot of reasons to. I mean, look, people are going to pile on about stuff. The fact of the matter is, and I guess maybe this is a segue into the outlook on the season as we move into next week's podcast, because we'll recap the whole season on next week's podcast. But
I don't know if I can talk about this much longer without crying. So
no, that's okay, Collins, because I'm with you. It was a very flawed team. It was a flawed team whose biggest flaw was its secondary. Unfortunately, the snapshot of that flawed
defense.
It was a flawed defense, and the snapshot of that is going to be Vildor off the face mask. But you know what? At the end of the day,
unathletic fucking play by that guy. Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
That's it. That's all I've got.
Oh
I don't think anyone here is going to beat the table.
How do they fumble on the first fucking play they get the ball back?
Yeah, it was the worst thing ever. It just
no one here is gonna look.
I can't.
So we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up. There's really no
fine.
reason to
I'm
You
even
guys don't worry about
angry.
next week. I'll be in a better
Well,
headspace, I think.
Well, yeah, we'll do a full
Unless
blown
the
season
49ers with the
recap.
Super Bowl, and I'll fucking want to go off.
Again, I don't care to watch, and if anyone rooting for the 49ers,
I won't watch a single second of it.
Anyone rooting for the 49ers because they don't like want to see Taylor Swift or they don't like Travis Kelce or Mahomes, fuck you. I know.
Yeah, you're a loser. By the way, if you
yeah.
care about the Taylor Swift thing, you're a loser. You're
Yeah.
an absolute loser. Have you? And by the way, if no, and the Taylor Swift thing, you're like, oh, I have a problem with cutaway. Have you guys watched any professional sporting event ever? If there's any sort of famous person have you watched a Lakers game ever? They cut to Jat 30 times a game. Everyone fucking loves that. Oh, look at Jat. Denzel's there. Fucking the Lakers. Showtime. They show the most famous person in the world for maybe 1 minute of screen time a game, and people are like, ruining my fucking football. Fucking
Great point. Great point, RC.
There's also 1,000 commercials. So who gives a fuck?
Okay, wait. Before
Losers. Put respect on Taylor Swift's name, you bunch of losers.
So here's the thing. Number one, Ryan Collins, Swiftie. Number two,
yes.
Let's we'll talk about the Lions. We'll recap the season next week, and then we'll get into. I promise you, all you people listening to this, all you wonderful, wonderful people, we'll talk about the Tigers and the Red Wings and maybe the Pistons if they win more than 2 games over the next 2 months. But
Zappa basically faked an injury, so he wasn't on the Pistons. So that's how the Pistons season started.
I want to get everyone Super Bowl prediction on the record just to have them.
Okay.
59-0 Chiefs.
I'll take the Chiefs 24-20. The Chiefs are not losing this game.
They're not. Rabs. It doesn't matter. Just that's what I won't watch a second of it. I won't watch any highlights of it. It's out of my mind. I wish there was a Pac-12 fucking basketball game I could watch instead of the Super Bowl on Sunday.
Chiefs 34-10. I agree with you guys. Chiefs roll.
Yeah, no chance.
Last time I really don't understand why the Niners are favorites. I get
me neither, dude. Me neither.
The Lions gave them that game, so
correct. Okay, couple more things to take care of. As Trent said, we will do a full-blown season recap of the Lions. Next week. Just maybe we can talk about the Lions on some better terms and in better graces.
This week's not the week. It's like it needs some mourning.
It's the airing of grievances.
It's still too soon.
And we do have a Red Wings team real quick, as we're just going to knock off the rest of the teams here. We do have a Red Wings team that took home 20 of 26 possible points in January. That has been very, very slept on. And I apologize. And I don't know how many people out there listen that don't care about the Lions and only care about these auxiliary teams that we throw in here every now and then. But the Red Wings have been very, very good. And we can sit here and I, as someone that follows the team closely and loves hockey, not that you guys don't, but we can sit here and dissect the roster, and I can give my opinion on if they're good or not. The bottom line to me is there are still several flaws within the roster that does not bode well for them to be a true Stanley Cup contending team. I don't think anyone's disagreeing. But the bottom line is, based on this roster construction and how this team has played and their resilience and late into games, and yes, they have, they still – it's not quite as severe as the Blashill days where they're losing games 12-0 and things of that nature. They do still have those moments where they tend to collapse. But those moments some are more so overshadowed by when they get their shit together and they come back and make games interesting. So they took 20 of 26 possible points in January. I don't know if you can draw it up much better than that. The thing that I am upset about, and first of all, kudos to Alex DeBrincat, just had a second kid at 26 years old. Good for him, I suppose. Everyone's life is different. But he probably should have won the MVP for that All-Star game for his performance. I think he had 3 goals, 3 assists, and had a shootout winner in the All-Star game. Not that I really watch much of it because I think the All-Star game is a joke. But nonetheless, this is going to be a hell of a stretch here. February, March, a little bit into April, I think. No, maybe I have my months off. But I am upset with the fact that the Red Wings have like their extended break right after the All-Star break. Like they don't play again until Saturday, which I think is ridiculous. And I don't know who makes a schedule for that, but that kind of sucks. I don't know how rusty they're going to be. I mean, at least you have guys like, Patrick Kane could probably use some extra time off, but they're in a good spot, man. It's just a commentary of, and I was kind of ragging on this division for a while there, but like, you would think that after getting 20 of 26 points in a single month that you'd be like, oh, they got to be in second, third place in their division. Like, well, they're in a wild card spot. And it just,
but they have decent distance.
Yeah. And it's just a testament to how good the division has been as of late. The Lightning have found their groove. The Panthers have found their groove. Toronto's not going to go away anytime soon. I don't think anyone really understands how Boston continues to be so good with the way that roster looks, but that just, it goes to show you don't have to have the, yeah, it goes to show between good goaltending and the proper roster construction from lines 1 to 4 and pairings 1 to 3, you can win without having your Bergerons and Charas and all these.
Montgomery's a great fucking coach.
He's been tremendous. So it's been a testament to how good the rest of the league is, and you're going to continue to have to play well. But like, this is probably the most momentum the Red Wings have had in recent memory of any sort.
Since Hendricks Edward was still on the team, probably.
For sure. And this is the time of year too where you start to see like that proverbial 6 to 7 game slide, and the Wings like immediately take themselves out of playoff contention. So just stay afloat and they'll be there at the end. You got to stay healthy. And I think that
they're going to make some move, right?
I 100% believe they will. And I think this is going to be the time.
I don't know if it's big, but they got to get some sort of shutdown D.
Well, I do think that it's going to have to be defensively. I think they do score at a pretty decent clip. They've been riding Alex Lyon all year, which has been tremendous. And, you hope that Billy Husso kind of finds his game again. But for the time being, I think they're more than comfortable with letting Alex Lyon have the net. This is a situation where you kind of look at, what you have prospects wise. And I don't know what Jonathan Berggren's future is like for this team. And maybe there is a team out there looking to rebuild that thinks they can find a piece to throw Jonathan Berggren as their middle six center somewhere. And you flip him. I don't necessarily see them messing with the current active roster right now in terms of, who gets to play night in, night out. But, I do think that there's some flexibility there, at least within your AHL system and your prospect pool, to where if you really feel like, I think Sabrango is a very good example of that last year when they moved him, or whenever it was that they moved him, as a guy that like, we got a plethora of defensive prospects. He's probably going to end up getting buried. It might take him a bit longer than we hope for him to get some NHL action. So, time to move him and grab a piece that can help us right now. So, I mean, enjoy it. Like it's nice that at least after the Lions season is concluded, that you're at least going to have another team to hitch your wagon to that has some, has an optimistic future. Like the Red Wings are very much in a playoff race right now. And it's unfortunate, again, that we have to wait until Saturday to see him back in action. And they'll have Vancouver at home, which will be tough because Vancouver's been great this year, but fun stuff.
No, it is nice, especially with the way the Lions season off, but it's nice to have the wins. And then we kind of will dip into the Tigers. And like, this is usually like college shoot. Me and Trent were talking about this. Like state basketball is like whatever. I mean, we'll see what they do tonight, but it is nice to have like a team like the Wings where I can like dig my teeth in, or like, because if you regular season hockey for a lot of people, if you're not super dialed in, it's a tough sell unless you're going to the games, because there's nothing better than live hockey. But get on now, because it's going to be like Rabs says, it's going to be fucking exciting. And if they make the playoffs, there's nothing better than playoff hockey.
Yeah, this is the time of year where, and I like, there's still a good chunk of games
on
left,
the bandwagon.
But if you guys remember, I think we texted about it when they beat Florida in overtime somewhat recently before the break, and we were like, that was a fucking huge win. Like that's how a lot of these games are going to be down the stretch. Like it's going to feel like playoff
that
hockey.
Night's win where they had that great third period. That was a big win.
Yeah, it
did suck that fucking game right before the break. They just laid an egg.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is like the time of year where it's like, okay, here comes the 6 to 7 game losing streak, and now we're talking about getting fucked in the draft lottery again next year. But all is good. All is good right now.
Blackhawks at Celebrini, and I just jump off a
Oh
building.
God, dude, Macklin Celebrini great too. Good pull. One of the best names of all time too. I guess on that note, to stay in the arena, because just so we don't end on a horrible note, there's nothing. I mean, nothing is sadder than how the Pistons season has gone, except for this news of obviously Earl Cureton passing away. What was he, 66?
Something around there.
Was he sick? Does anyone know what happened?
No, it was super sudden. He did the UDM basketball game the night before. They were talking about it on the broadcast, basically. No idea. Super sad. What's it called? I almost think of him more of a UDM guy because I feel like he was their biggest ambassador ever. Like, and I know he was a Piston ambassador. I don't know how good of a player he was in the Pistons and stuff, but like the dedication he had toward his university and the like the Titans and stuff like that is something like, yeah, I love. Like you care about something like that gave you a lot and trying to give back. It just marks the character of a good person. And it seems like everyone who came across him said he was the sweetest guy, really good person. So rest in peace.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know me. I'm always looking up the stats and stuff. Earl Cureton was like a part of the Sixers rotation in 1983 when they won the championship. He played like 14 minutes a game, and he was like a real part
I did not know that, Trent. I did not know that.
So there you go. I mean, that's a guy who you think about the 80s, all you think about is Magic and Bird, right? And then the Bad Boys at the tail end. Well, once upon a time in 1983, the Sixers and Dr. J and Mo Cheeks.
Probably like the best team, too, of the 80s, Trent. People kind of forget about it. They're
might have been
historically great team.
So shout out to them. And he also, he was on the 94 Rockets technically. So a two-time champion was Earl Cureton.
UDM legend.
Someone that Detroit Mercy, the Pistons certainly, and the city of Detroit will miss having around. So rest easy, Earl. The Twirl.
Yeah, I appreciate.
Great nickname. Awesome nickname.
It is a great nickname. I appreciate, especially in the city of Detroit, which again, it's not like, we don't live in LA, so there's like not like there's a huge reason to stick around here after your playing days are over, I suppose, when you have the kind of money that professional athletes do. But I always appreciate seeing guys like, I see him around LCA, Rick Mahorn, Greg Kelser, like guys that like played here or from here, like whatever, like that kind of stuff means a lot. So I appreciate the fact that he was always around the team and like always just the guy at the like, oh, there's Earl Cureton, and always seemed to like blend in too, of just, people would come up to him and shake his hand and take pictures, and he never really made you feel like he was bigger, he never big leagued anyone, like just a normal guy that, has the past he did at Detroit Mercy and with the Pistons. And so you guys put it perfectly. May he rest in peace. That was sad news to receive. I guess to end the show on a more positive note, we can talk some Tigers. I think pitchers and catchers report soon. It's got to be, right? We're in the beginning of February.
A couple weeks away. Yeah, but the only Tigers thing we got to talk about the Keith thing, which kind of got some like national play, and this is kind of turning into a thing in baseball. We saw Bobby Witt get that like $270 million contract, and he was good last year, but like it's an extremely big risk by KC giving a guy
he's outstanding.
It's also a risk on his end. I think it's a risk on his end because he also could be leaving a lot of money on the table.
No, 100%.
Right.
It's a risk on both parts. For a guy like $272 million, whatever he's got, that is generational money. That is, and good for KC for spending money because that's a market that they basically won a World Series and said, fuck off, we're not going to pay any of these guys, and they immediately stunk. So, Colt Keith gets $20 million. I'm assuming that means he's on the opening day roster. I hope so.
Yeah, he better be. He better be.
The thing that was weird about it, Rabs, it came out of fucking nowhere, and then they trouted him around like all these games and made him like feel like it was like they made it a big deal kind of from like their side of things. So I don't know what your guys take it. I kind of love it. It is a big risk by Colt Keith. Big risk.
Well,
on his part.
I also think that,
and I don't is nothing to the Tigers.
I agree, but I also don't know. Like, and I will say I'm speaking as somebody who not to make this all about me, but I've been playing NHL 21 franchise mode, and I did just lock up Lucas Raymond 8 years at $3 million a clip. So talk about
wow.
Like that's the kind of
Don't
stuff.
go
Like
to the table with Rabs.
Yeah, like credit to me for locking them up early for cheap. So I think yes, the Tigers, it is probably a low risk move as far as the money is concerned that could pay off dividends. So if he does project to be this outstanding talent, that you don't have to pay him a shit ton of money. And maybe I'm not tapped in enough to baseball, but like how often does this happen with guys that have not played a single MLB game?
That's why it's become kind of a national thing, Rabs. This is super uncommon, and it's kind of taking a page out of the Braves book, where they had a guy like Michael Harris who had one good year and they paid him.
That's right.
But what's it called, Rabs? You're right. He hasn't set foot in the major leagues, and $20 million is. It's not, but still, it's a really weird move. I kind of love it. Like, I think it's very inventive, and it's, hey, let's take a risk on one of our guys. To be honest, $20 million is not a risk for the Tigers.
Well, I'll say this too, Collins. You nailed it right there. I mean, $20 million for the Tigers. Like, hello, they should have been spending this money.
20.
Where are they spending their money? They're not spending any money. What is their payroll? They got to be
zero.
I know Javi's making a lot of money, but other than that, and what's so Flaherty? Flaherty's got to be our second highest contract. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you are. But I guess all I was trying to say was I think this is a huge move because it's Scott Harris's first big swing, and I also think it's his chance to say, "Hey, fan base, line it up outside Comerica. We've got an everyday second baseman, Rabs. He's going to be playing second base every single day.
Right,
you don't
unless
the
moon, unless it's a crescent moon, or if Mercury's in retrograde, then we should probably get McKinstry in there. And depending on how the grass is cut, no, I know how AJ Hinchman is. I get it. That's cute that you think that's what it's going to be.
I really hope they shove it up your ass this year and win.
I would love to have it up my ass. I don't care.
Okay.
Put it up.
Clip that. Clip that.
Oh, we're clipping that. But here's the point I was more trying to make is that Colt Keith. I mean, this is a guy. Wind the clocks back 3 years. Remember on Motown, we were Rabs. I remember it's a famous thing with me and my brothers. Is you were like, oh, when you talk about the Tigers, you're pitching, they're pitching.
Speed it up.
Where the fuck are these guys? Speed it up. That whole rant. When back then we were talking about Tarek Skubal, and I don't even remember who we were talking about, Frankie Perez. But nowadays, it's different because you've got a new GM in the fold. You've got a young gun second baseman who looks like he could be the real deal every single day. And for a fan base that's all we've wanted, quite frankly.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
We get Javi Baez every day.
Number 3 farm system in baseball. People forget.
Hey, better.
Did you see that?
Yeah,
I was literally stunned when I saw that. I was like, is this a joke? I don't think in my lifetime the Tigers have ever been above like 18th, like in those rankings.
That's because of Dombrowski, our boy. But
no, it's not. It's like it was for years. They didn't give a fuck about coaching in the minor leagues.
That's also true.
They did
okay. I got nothing. All I wanted to say is that. Plus, I also, if you're watching on YouTube, I made our little name bubbles orange to sort of silently transition into Tigers.
That's why you did that.
Like it. Well,
yeah,
what's it
I
called?
don't know, guys. Yeah, I mean, whatever.
I like it.
Cool.
I hope. And we'll dig into this later. I hope it means he's on the opening day roster. I assume it.
I mean,
he better be. He
is the definition of like, and now again, Trent, this could very well soon become my rant 2.0 of like this, between Colt Keith and obviously we've seen Ryan Kreidler, who doesn't seem like that was maybe a pipe dream. Who's the other guy that has 2 last names? Jackson Malloy, Hunter Malloy.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't get a call up last year. That was bizarre.
Yeah, like that, and that was Walker.
It was very bizarre.
That was Walker. That was Scott Harris's thing last year. Was like, we're not going to rush these guys up. Whatever. Okay, that's understandable. But like, there is no reason for Andy Ibanez to be playing at second base this season. Like, please just if you want to give Colt Keith the day off, Let Zach McKinstry play. I have no problem with it. Are they going to play Vierling at third? Who's the guy at third that's good? Who's that guy?
I have no.
Or is Colt Keith the third baseman?
That's what I don't know who's playing.
And Young is
third.
I feel like Jace Young is supposed to be the second baseman, and Colt Keith is supposed to play third. Am I correct on that?
I know they were trying to play him at third last year.
Well, I just, to look at the projected opening day, it'll just come down to who they roll out there. I would like to see Dingler play this decade at some point. That would be super nice. It would be nice if they can just let Jake Rogers play like every day. Like I am optimistic for this Tigers season. I love baseball. I'm excited for the weather to be nice. They should win this division just by default. And if they don't, I'll be disgusted. I just would like to see, again, these guys. Okay, Scott, you didn't want to bring them up last year. You wouldn't let us see Colt Keith one time. That's fine. But we had to watch fucking what's his nuts, Tyler Nevin, that just got traded for cash considerations. That's fine. Let's let him play. I would like to see a new, refreshed Javi Baez, perhaps. That would be nice if we can get something out of him and he can prove me right. That'll be I've held on to that stock for way too long, but
me too, Rabs. Me too. El Mago,
I'm still in. So I don't know, man. Good for Colt Keith, I suppose. Not playing a single, hasn't even made his fucking MLB debut and is already a millionaire. Must be nice. I wish that the world worked like that for everyone. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, Tigers baseball, spring training starting. Trent should be out there at some point watching some Tigers ball out there in Fort Myers. So maybe we can get some scouting, advanced scouting from you, Trent. I got to look this up about these Tigers prospects. Someone fill the air with some conversation.
What about Tigers prospects?
Well, who's the guy that's supposed to play? I keep getting these guys fucked up in my brain.
Well, Jackson Malloy is a third baseman, so that's probably what you're thinking of.
I feel like there's another guy that has a name similar to Colt Keith. I love Max Clark, by the way. Who the fuck is Kevin McGonigal?
I'm pretty sure. Is that the guy from Texas?
I don't know, but I'm looking at projected 2027 lineup. You ready for this?
Look at Colt Keith, look where Keith is projected to play.
Okay, he's projected to play second, and Jace Young is projected to play third.
That's what I thought. But
I don't like that.
The reason, Keith didn't get called up last year was basically they didn't like him defensively, and they were trying him at third. I know he played a couple games at third in Toledo.
Wait, hold on. Jace Young is not playing this season, is he?
No. I know. I'm talking about.
Trent, I literally just pulled up the projected 2027 lineup.
That's fine. I got very excited out of nowhere.
No, he's not.
I got super excited.
And then Vierling is your opening day third baseman, which is going to be an issue.
I cannot believe that's.
To be fair though, Rabs, nobody signs any free agents until right before spring training anymore. So they might go out and sign someone. So
I hear you. How about Nolan Arenado?
By the way, dude, so would you give Chapman 1 for 25?
Who, Aroldis Chapman or Matt Chapman?
Matt Chapman.
Absolutely, I love Matt Chapman. Tremendous player. Totally.
2 for 50.
What is this, Mr. Allen's?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Yes, I would. Because I don't know because it sounds like they're going to play Colt Keith at second base, and I don't know what the answer is at third. Matt Chapman is an all-world defensive third baseman, and he was good at the plate last year. He's very hit or miss.
Before we go, I just want everyone's kind of yes or no, one-word answer, one-player answer for every. I want to go around the horn.
Okay, this is good.
You will
write this down. This is great.
At catcher, it's got to be Jake Rogers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
First base, Torque.
Yes.
Second base, Max. I almost just said Max Clark.
Keith or McKinstry, right?
Yeah. No,
but that's
Keith,
the thing.
Sure.
This is the thing, guys. Before you continue, Trent, I'm on this this page that says Detroit Tigers top prospects 2024. Colt Keith, third base. I don't know what the issue. I don't get it.
That's what I'm saying, Rabs. He got time at third base in Toledo. They were trying.
who the fuck is Kevin McGonigal? Collins, God, I don't know if we're gonna have time for. I don't know what happened to Collins, but to his point, like I do remember. That's why maybe I'm getting my names all fucked up, because I do remember the fact that they like tried to use him at third base, but they have been parading him as like, here's the second baseman of the future. So that's fine. And if they're gonna try Jace Young at third base, great. They just better be good. I just don't know who the fuck Kevin McGonigal is.
Okay, Rabs, let's finish the exercise for the sake of, okay.
Yeah.
Shortstop is going to be Javi no matter what, right?
Yes.
Because of the money he's making. Yes. Third base. By committee? What are we doing here? I don't know.
I mean, is there a way Collins can get back in here too?
No, I think we've officially we've lost him. Well,
third base, dude. I could see a lot of Zach McKinstry at third base, truly, and I would rather him play third than Vierling. And I like Vierling's bat, but it's just like I don't understand, dude. And this is where I just don't get the whole model of the Tigers. Like, when you're a baseball player, for the most part, after you get to a certain age, like you specialize somewhere. You're either an outfielder, you're an infielder, you either play the middle infield, you play the corners. Like, how I just don't know how this happened that Matt Vierling ended up playing third base. So I would say third base, like they'll probably play Vierling there, dude. I guarantee you it starts opening day at third base would probably be Vierling. Truly.
Okay. I don't think you're wrong. I just kind of want everyone's picks on the record. Let's go to left field. How about this? We agreed that center field's Riley Green.
Yes, so I would say that left field is probably going to be Canna. Mark Canna will probably play in left. Right wall, dude, I don't know. How about Parker Meadows in center and Riley Green in right? Nah, they'll DH Carey. They have to. I would say here, to answer your question, as we sit here on February 6th, left field, I think opening day. Left field, I could see it probably being Mark Canna. Center field, Parker Meadows. Right field, Riley Green. First base, Spencer Torkelson. Second base, Colt Keith. Shortstop, Javi Baez. Third base, Matt Vierling. Catcher, Jake Rogers. Pitcher, Tarek Skubal. And DH will be Kerry Carpenter. If Zach McKinstry ends up playing third on opening day, I wouldn't be surprised. And that's how they're going to go. Akil Baddoo will come off the bench in the outfield. McKinstry will be coming off the bench. Raul Ibanez will be coming off the bench. Fucking man, I cannot believe. Like, I just don't like. That's what I mean when I say, dude. Like, how like is it really going to be that bad for the development of? I mean, maybe because you want them to play every day in AAA. I get it, but I don't know. That's what I have for you, and I'm sure Collins would agree. I don't think Collins would disagree with anything
I wanted to sprinkle in some of the Tiger stuff, as I now switch our little name bubbles to orange, and we fizzle into the Tiger season, because I think this really is a formative year for the Tigers. We're all looking ahead. We're all looking ahead. As soon as the Lions lost, it's like, okay, thank God we have the Wings to keep us afloat for now. MSU basketball, if you're into that sort of thing, and the Tigers as soon as spring starts.
Yeah,
so,
I'm excited to see the pitching. Truly, I think the pitching is going to be the thing I'm most excited about. I'm excited to watch Jack Flaherty. I love Jack Flaherty. I think he was hurt a bit last year, but I'm excited to see Casey Mize back. I don't know what the deal with Spencer Turnbull is, if he's even still on the team. I have no idea. But I mean, big year for Matt Manning. Like, I don't know what they plan on doing with him.
By the way, Rabs, I'm glad you brought that up. It's a huge year for Matt Manning, Tarek Skubal, and Casey Mize. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that coming up. But
for sure. Well, I feel bad.
Tigers they're coming around the bend for you, Detroit fans.
Here they come. Here they come. Sooner than later. I feel bad talking without Collins here, and we've been talking for long enough. So I'll wrap it up for Trent Bailey and Ryan Collins, who is no longer on the YouTube with us, but you had enough of them today for sure. That's all for today's episode of the Motown Rundown. I'm Ryan Rabinowitz, by the way. I forgot to mention that. We are on YouTube, guys, at Motown Rundown, I think is the channel name if you want to watch our episodes as we record on there. We're also exclusively on Spotify right now. You can follow the page. Be notified whenever we post a new episode. So far, I've been doing pretty good. New episodes every week. We'll probably have to tweak things as the Lions die out here. Twitter at Motown_Rundown. We're on Facebook too. Thank you guys for listening. We will have content for you throughout the rest of the year, even though we are done with the NFL season, unfortunately, here in Detroit. Thank you guys for listening. We love you very much. See you next time.